The number of recreational hunters in our nation is seeing a steady decline over the past couple of decades. However, it is said that the hunters that remain today are willing to immerse themselves in the world of hunting with greater intensity than the recreational hunters in the recent generations. As representatives of today's hunters, we have the responsibility and the duty to guide and encourage new hunters on their way to becoming a consistent and better hunter. This is the exact reason that I wanted to have Collin Cottrell on today. Collin Cottrell is the host and the founder of the Activate the Hunt podcast, which is a podcast designed for hunters to hear information on anything from tips, strategies of hunting, and it's a podcast that's really designed for new hunters to activate the hunt inside of themselves. And it's a great resource for anybody that is wanting to learn all about hunting and to learn how to get started in the hunting world. Personally, I've been able to gain a lot of good information from listening to his show, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to have him on today. So right after this episode, be sure to head over to Activate the Hunt podcast and give him a listen. And you can also check out what he's doing at activatethehunt.com. So today we have a great conversation all about what inspires Collin to teach and guide new hunters. And we also get into some other topics like hunting in Texas, where his journey began as a hunter, and his new project called the Digital Campfire. The Digital Campfire is an online networking community for seasoned hunters and new hunters alike, and it is a great way for you to connect to hunters from all around the country. So I've been a part of the Digital Campfire for a little bit of time now, and I just recently participated in my first online weekly call, and I have to tell you, it was a really good experience. I was able to speak with people from all over the country. We were able to bounce ideas off of each other. We were able to just sit there and converse about all types of different topics around hunting. So I definitely recommend it. And if you are interested in joining the Digital Campfire, you can sign up at jointhecampfire.com. And when you do sign up, be sure to use the code RKE. So that's RKE as in Rise, Kill, Eat, just like this podcast. So be sure to use the code RKE, and it would really help us out. So once you've signed up, you will receive an exclusive Activate the Hunt t-shirt. And you will also be able to participate in the weekly call. So they have weekly calls once a week on Wednesday nights. And they are usually around 10 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Central time. And again, it's some really good conversations. And if you sign up, you will also be able to be automatically entered in some pretty awesome giveaways. So Collin has some pretty great buddies in the hunting industry. So he's able to get a hold of some really good giveaways. I mean, they're giving away things from new bows to giving away hunt packages to members of the Digital Campfire. So it's a pretty awesome experience, and you can find out more about the Digital Campfire at jointhecampfire.com. I'll be sure to have that link in the show notes for you if you are interested in that. And when you do sign up at jointhecampfire.com, be sure to use the code RKE, and it's really going to help us out there. All right. So if you haven't followed us on Instagram or Facebook yet, be sure to do that. On Facebook, you can find us at www.facebook.com/RKEafield. All right, you can find us on there. Be sure to like us on there. And on Instagram, our handle is at RKEafield. So be sure to follow us on there. Be sure to give us some likes on there. We definitely appreciate it. That way you can stay up to date on all things RKE Afield and the Rise, Kill, Eat podcast. So thank you guys for listening today. I really think you're going to enjoy today's talk with Collin. If this is your first time listening to the Rise, Kill, Eat podcast, then go ahead and drop us a rating on iTunes after you hear this episode. This is a great way for me to see what you guys think of the show, and it provides me with some honest feedback. Also, if you enjoyed today's show, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. I'm really excited about what the month of July is going to bring. It's going to be a pretty exciting month for us, so I don't want you guys to miss out on any of that. So make sure you subscribe today. So far, we've had some pretty awesome guests on this show. Guys like Tony Dempsey, who is a skilled and knowledgeable hunter, a bow fisherman, just an all-around knowledgeable guy from here in Kentucky. We just had Scott Gonzer, the owner and master roaster of Wyoming's Snowy Elk Coffee Company. We talked all about the science behind roasting a good cup of coffee and also being able to capture the outdoors in a variety of flavor profiles. Just last week, we had the very talented Cody Brown from Contact Outdoors Media and Beyond the Winds Productions, where he really pulled back the curtain on how he films hunts and all the factors that he considers when he's trying to tell the story of a hunt. So if you've missed those episodes, be sure to go back and listen to those. They are some really good episodes and got some really good information. Be sure to do that. Be sure to check us out and go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. All right, so without further ado, I hope you guys are going to get a lot out of this. I think you will. We're going to go ahead and get into the talk with Collin of the Activate the Hunt podcast. So sit back and enjoy. Hey, Collin, man, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, doing great. I appreciate you taking the time tonight to talk to me. I appreciate that quite a bit.
Oh yeah, you bet, man. I'm happy to, man. I'm excited to get a little conversation with you, man. This is good stuff. Excited that you're getting a podcast going too. That's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think your episode is going to be about, I think, number 10 for me. So we're getting this thing rolling and getting this show on the road, almost quite literally.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It's been
it's exciting stuff.
It is, yeah. It's been an exciting journey, and it's just the whole learning process, and just doing everything that is required with the podcasting deal has definitely been quite a bit to learn. So I feel like I made a little bit of progress. So yeah.
It's some work, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
But it's fun. It's fun though. Like once you get it down, and after you get rolling a little bit as you are already, it kind of makes it fun.
Yeah, getting that momentum going is always the hardest part for sure.
Yeah, exactly. No, it looks like you got things going pretty good though. If you're 10 episodes in already, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're making some progress and getting this thing going.
Yeah, cool, man.
I was listening to your podcast today. This morning, your latest episode with Jordan Miller.
Yeah. Yep.
And there was a few points you guys made on there, which was just flat out awesome. When you guys were talking about, using social media and just taking that break and forcing yourself to take that break. And it's just it's a necessary thing that I feel like a lot of us have to do. And a lot of us just simply don't, there's been times when I've been on a hunt where, I've had to tell myself, like, I'm just going to put my phone in my pocket. I'm not going to worry about the world right now. I'm just going to, disconnect and, just sit here and hunt. So I thought that was a really neat point you guys made.
Yeah, I've actually taken some what I call sabbaticals from social media a few different times just to clear my head and get away from it and remember what reality is like. It's being a marketing guy, I've been doing social media since Facebook and Instagram and all of it started. So, I mean, I can remember literally when Facebook was, you had to have a .edu email address just to get on Facebook at that time. So it was like, it was crazy, man, to look back, it was like 2006. But man, especially once I got married and had kids, like I took a step back. I took a step off of Facebook for about a year. And it was kind of nice to just take that step back. And really, I wasn't on Instagram too much either. I'd post every once in a while here and there, but you can control Instagram a little bit more than Facebook. So
right,
it was nice though. Like it just like brought me back to reality in a lot of ways, and just made me realize like how much I was putting into social media compared to how much I was actually putting into just regular life. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. They got that thing now where once a week it'll send you like a weekly report. I don't know if maybe it's just my phone. I don't know, but it'll send me a weekly report telling me, how much time a day I'm spending on the phone. And that was a big eye opener for me, just because, I actually quantified the value and was able to see that.
Exactly. It does show you, with iPhone shows me that for sure. And it's like, whoa, I spent 8 hours, on social media this week or whatever it was,
Right.
And I was just like, you just get blown away. Obviously with what I'm doing now, I spend a lot of time on there trying to build my own little business on the side doing that. But, it still puts it into perspective. Like, okay, do I really need to spend that much time, or do I need to maybe spend more quality time on there and then, do more offline to prepare for that,
Right. It definitely forces you to reprioritize. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely, it does, man. It's crazy, but yeah, that's cool, man. Well, I appreciate you listening to the podcast. That was a really good. I really enjoyed that conversation with Jordan, and just getting to know him better. out at Western Hunt Expo, man, it was a good time. You know, it's like when you connect with somebody, you just feel like you're on the same level. You know, there's just that same connection there. You know, there's nothing like that. So it's cool. It's more than just an interview. Then it's like an actual conversation.
Right. You're sitting there talking to somebody rather than, you know, questions and answers.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's whenever that kind of conversation occurs, it's so much easier, so much more fluid, and it's a lot easier to listen to as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. That reminds me, because you mentioned the Western Hunt Expo. So how was that this year?
It was, you know, it was my first time ever going to that show, and I was impressed. You know, I grew up in Minnesota. I grew up in the Midwest, so you know, I just growing up not out west. You know, I never really hunted out west. But then when I was 22 years old or 21, I moved out to Montana and I hunted out west, and I filmed for a TV show that was based on Western hunting. So I spent a lot of time out west after that. But so the Western hunting lifestyle is something that I'm really interested in, even though I live in Texas now, and most of my hunting is whitetails and hogs and this and that. You know, it's like, man, I still always have that drive and that dream to get back out west and do some elk hunting, do some mule deer hunting, get back on some antelope, you know, do some of that bear hunt, spot and stock bear. You know, so going to that show was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun to talk to these hardcore Western guys and see some of these, you know, hardcore Western companies, and I didn't really go for, like, because really the big part of that show is they raffle off and they sell hunts and they do some different things like that are based on conservation and getting, you know, having the opportunity to win some free hunts and stuff, which is actually a big part of that show. But I didn't really go there for that. I just really went to, you know, just to network and have a good time and hang out with some good people. So it was good. I had a good time.
Yeah, some of those hunts that they raffle off there, I mean, they go for insane amounts of money.
It's crazy how much they go for. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'll ever be buying a hunt from something like this, but possibly. I know that there's an opportunity to win some hunts and stuff like that too, so that's something I got to look into for next year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a raffle getting your name drawn is a lot better than right now to check for $50,000.
That's for sure. I actually had one of my buddies. Actually, he's won a couple hunts from that show, or from those drawings that they do at that show. So it's possible to win. That's for sure.
It's possible. That's awesome. Yeah, well, me and you, we kind of got first connected through Instagram. You know, I started following the Activate the Hunt podcast. I think it was quite a while back, and then you know, you started posting more and get more active. And I was like, man, this is really cool. And then right about that time when you were, you know, making a reemergence there, you know, I was considering going back and forth on the podcast through my RKU Field brand. It's a little apparel brand that my wife and I, we run, and kind of going back and forth on the idea of this podcast here. I was like, man, I got to have Collin on there. He seems like the kind of guy that I need to have. So again, I appreciate you taking the time, man, to talk with me tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm excited about this, dude. It's cool that it's been fun to be able to kind of put more effort into my social media, even though I don't necessarily always like doing it, but being able to, like, stick to it and put more effort into it and then connect with people on a real level, like that's what I love. I love to actually connect with people on a real level. Right. And I could tell, like, when you and I connected, it wasn't just like, oh, hey, you're following me, I'm following you now, cool, right on, you know, I'll like your photo every once in a while. It's like, no, I could tell we both had a lot of similarities. We both have a lot of things that we believe in that are the same, you know, family values, our faith, you know, different things like that. So I could definitely tell there was going to be a good connection there, and so it's cool that you invited me to come on and have a conversation with you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. You guys, I keep bringing up your last episode with Jordan Miller, but you guys kind of got into, you know, the faith aspect of it, and that's something I've talked quite a bit about, you know, in some of my monologue episodes and that kind of thing. But if you feel like you want to, you know, kind of share your faith with us a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I did. I grew up in a Christian home, and you know, we went to church on Sunday. The regular American Christian family, you know, where we went to church on Sunday, and we did different faith-based things in our church. It was a Christian missionary CMA church, Christian Missionary Alliance Church, in little Verndale, Minnesota. So I grew up in a little town of about 450 people, 500 people, I think. So
Dang.
it's a pretty small town. You know, we've got like 6 churches, 2 bars, a couple gas stations, and that's pretty much it. No stoplights. So
there you go.
it's pretty crazy. But you know, we grew up farming and ranching and doing that kind of thing. And so, you know, we grew up as the basic, you know, small town rural American family. But as I grew older, you know, I started to really understand what my relationship with God was all about, and my, you know, my relationship with Christ. And you know, as I grew older, you know, I was, you know, I read the Word, I read the Bible, you know, I really tried to grow and learn. And then I went off to college, had some pretty crazy years, kind of not necessarily didn't believe in God or anything like that, but I definitely fell away and kind of went on my own path for a while. But over the last, man, I would say since I got married, when about 3 years ago, I really kind of came back to my faith. And you know, not that I have to go to church to grow in my faith, but I started going to church again. I started reading the Bible again, which is the most important thing. And you know, it really just getting that daily word in really helped me start to grow in my relationship. And then I started to realize how much I needed that relationship with God to help improve my marriage and help me improve as a father and those kinds of things. So, you know, it's really the backbone of my life is my relationship with God and the gospel message. And you know, as I grow and I look back at my 20s and I realize, you know, how far I fell down, you know, to come back up. You know, I kind of have a cool story and a cool testimony that I can share with people and maybe help somebody in some way. Not that it's because of my doing, but I know God is working through me and wants me to use my story and use, you know, my negative and downfalls in my life to help people, not necessarily, you know, they'll learn from it. That I can use it for people to learn from me and my mistakes and see where I've come from and kind of the redemption I've had in my life. And I know it's not because of myself; it's because God has empowered me and helped me through a lot of tough moments in my life. So yeah, that's what my faith is for me, man. It's really dear to me, and it's something I'm trying to grow in all the time. And not that I'm like this perfect Christian person or anything like that, and because I'm not. But I'm always striving to grow in my faith and grow in my relationship with God and get to know what the Bible says. So yeah, man, that's what it's all about.
Man, that's awesome to hear. That's awesome to hear. And yeah, you mentioned getting back into church, and you know, just having those people around you, just having that support, and knowing that you have, you know, people of the same faith and trying to achieve the same goals of being, you know, better fathers, better husbands, you know, better providers, those kind of things. It's just it's a big deal to have that kind of support and see, you know, examples of other people who are, you know, striving to do what you're trying to accomplish. So having those other people around you is a big deal.
Absolutely. And so it was about a year ago. Yeah, it was just a little over a year ago. I moved here to a little, well, not little, it's 20,000 people, but a town in Texas, central Texas called Stephenville, Texas. And we literally, the place I bought is literally a mile from a church, a Baptist church here. And I'm not Baptist or anything like that, but it's a Bible believing, Bible reading church. And we went there the first Sunday we moved here, and I just started getting to know people, and right away I was just blown away by how real and authentic people were. They weren't afraid to share their, you know, their struggles and the hard parts of their life, and to really use that as a testimony to others that were starting to grow in their faith and wanting to grow in their faith. And just having those kind of people around me over the last year and a half has really just helped me. I don't know where I'd be in the last year and a half if I didn't have those people around me and be studying the Bible with those kind of people, and just having those people speak into me as a man, and then speak into me and my wife as a married couple as well, because we've been through a lot of struggles, and my testimony has a lot of struggle in it when it comes to not necessarily my marriage part, but before I was married and us having how our relationship started. So from there, you know, it's like, man, I knew I needed some good people around me, and I knew that it needed to be Christ-centered. So it's been a blessing, man. It's been really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. So what What in the world brought you from Minnesota down to Texas? Is there anything in particular? That's a long trip.
So no, it's a cool story actually. So I kind of had mentioned that I moved from Minnesota to Montana for a couple years.
Okay, yeah.
Well, when I was living in Montana, I actually was filming for it was an online TV show back in that time. It was the first, one of the first online TV shows. It was called Outback Outdoors. And I was filming for one of the guys, just doing some freelance video work, as well as running my own little marketing business. So that's kind of what I was doing for a living. So I was single, and I didn't really have anything holding me down. So I kind of just traveled a lot and filmed and hunted and did a bunch of work on the road with my laptop, and I just needed the internet to do that. So, but I was in a hunting camp in eastern Montana, actually an antelope hunt. It was mid-August. Antelope season opened up in Montana, and so me and Ryan were in this little hunting camp in the middle of nowhere, literally Montana. And there was a little writers camp going on with this. So Ryan was friends with this outfitter who was letting us hunt on his land. He actually guides for him in the fall elk season. So the guy let us hunt on his place to film some hunts, and they were having a writers hunt there while we were there. Just happened to be having this writers hunt, and so one of the guys that was on this writers hunt, his name is Robert Hogue. And Robert Hogue is the founder of a website called bowhunting.net, which was the first bow hunting website to ever be on the internet, which started back in 1994 on AOL, and then it migrated over when the internet actually got going in 1996. He moved it over and put it on bowhunting.net. So I met Robert in hunting camp, and him being an internet entrepreneur and me being an internet guy, we hit it off. And Ryan, after a couple of days, we ended up having some rain, and that was kind of affecting the hunting. And Ryan had to go do some. He also is a professional rodeo clown and rodeo entertainer, so he had to go to a rodeo performance. So he's like, "Why don't you stay here in camp?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was hoping you'd say that because I want to stay and hang out with some of these guys. They're good people, And it's just a good networking opportunity as well." So I ended up hanging out in that hunting camp, for about 3 more days, and just hanging out, helping out as much as I could, kind of, not necessarily guiding, but just helping get, meals ready and different things like that, just kind of pulling my weight, and really just hanging out with the guys and hanging out with Robert a bunch. And he was showing me his website. He was literally updating his website. This was 2009. So it was still, this was still, before we had a lot of good internet,
Right.
And he literally brought a satellite internet connection with him that he had to pay a lot of money for just so he could update his website while he was on that hunt, because he wanted the idea was to have semi-live updates from hunting camp for his website.
That's awesome.
And it was cool. And we hit it off, and we ended up, staying connected. And the next year, he invited me to come to Texas. He was from Texas, and he's like, "Why don't you come out to Texas and come do some hunting with me, do some hog hunting. We can talk about, I need some help with my website and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, that'd be awesome." So it was like January of 2010, I believe, and maybe it was 2009. I don't know, it was somewhere in there. But anyway, I was like, "Well, I don't really have a lot of money to fly out there and do that." He's like, "No, I got you." So he flew me out, put me up at his house. What a good guy, and
Right.
And we did some hog hunting while I was there, and we worked on his website and did some different things, and man, we just had a good time. We just really hit it off and started to become real good friends. And so I ended up deciding to go back to college for another year after that. And so I went back to Minnesota to go to college and play some college football. And so we stayed in touch, and I ended up starting to help him and his business partner on their website on a monthly basis. So I was getting paid to do stuff to make some extra money while I was in college, which is always nice, And after that year of college, I decided, I'm done with school. Business, my business had started to kind of take off a little bit. I was starting to get more clients and different things like that. And Robert was like, "Why don't you come back out here and hang out with me?" So I went back out to Texas that next spring, and we ended up going on a turkey hunt together. We went on a turkey road trip where I filmed him, and we both filmed each other, and we hunted like 6 different states. We were trying to kill the Grand Slam with our bows, and he does that. He tries to do that every year, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I've never done anything like that before. And I was kind of working for him, not full time, but part time working for him and his website, doing a lot of stuff for him. So he's like, "Why don't you come out? I'll pay for your trip, and we'll have a good time. We'll help each other out." And so we ended up doing that, and man, I just had a great time, and just started to really fall in love with Texas. And I didn't really have anything else holding me down, So I ended up moving out to Texas after that, and man, the rest is history. I've been there since 2011. We've been here since 2011, and I love it here, man. It's it's a great state. There's just a lot of good people, a lot of good hunting. It's a big state. There's a lot to do, a lot of different, variety when it comes to, you can go to the coast, or you can hit the hill country, and there's just a lot of cool stuff here. And my wife is from San Antonio, so she's from the hill country, so I spent some time in the hill country as well. And then we both decided we wanted to get back to Central Texas. And a big part of that was I wanted to get closer to my buddy Robert. I live an hour away from him now, and we hang out at least once a week, and a lot of weekends we hang out because we're on the same hunting lease together, which is pretty cool. So Robert is a great guy, and I'm really thankful that he kind of invited me on that first hunt, and where we've come from in our friendship to be, this close now. And he's just a great guy. What a blessing.
That's an awesome story that you were able to, pretty much literally move cross country to be able to, pursue your dreams and be able to go do what you want to do down in Texas. I mean, I've never been to Texas, and I hope to make it there one day, and I hope to spend quite a bit of time there, because everything that I know about Texas, it seems like it fits my style. So I'm hoping to make it down there. So now that you're in Texas, for the most part, for people who haven't been there, myself included, whenever we think of hunting in Texas, we hear a lot of stereotypes of, high fenced ranches. We hear a lot of, all types of different crazy hunt stories. And I mean, the crazy diversity of wildlife where, you get ranchers that bring exotic animals in, and then they escape through the fences, and then all of a sudden you have the crazy, exotic animal running around, repopulating everywhere. So give me, from a Texan perspective, how is hunting in Texas?
Yeah. I really like the hunting here. I like the diversity of it, and you do hear the stereotypes, and all you do is feed them corn and this and that, and all you guys do is hunt high fence.
I've heard all that.
It's kind of funny because I grew up in Minnesota in the Midwest, obviously, and I always heard that as well growing up there. And it's like, well, they don't really have the agriculture here like we have in the Midwest. I mean, yeah, in the Midwest you can plant a food plot, and you can, have great soybean fields and great cornfields to hunt over. Well, isn't that the same thing as putting a little bit of food down from a feeder?
Right.
It really is. It's really not much different. And here's the thing, you'll find out that on some ranches and different things like that, the deer will come into the corn and they'll get used to it, maybe get somewhat of a pattern. But where I hunt, it's 1,000 acres, low fence, and it's bow only, and the deer don't just come to a feeder just to come to the feeder and eat. Like, when hunting season is on, they know what's going on. They're not dumb, and it's really tough to kill the deer here, just like it is anywhere. So it's you can go to a high fence ranch place, and actually, there's so one of my clients and one of my friends is Ted Nugent, and he lives about an hour and a half from me here. He's over near Waco, and he's got a 400 acre high fence ranch, and he gets a lot of guff because he hunts high fence. When you hear high fence, you hear about Ted Nugent all the time. But I'll tell you what, man, I know the former ranch manager is one of my best friends now. His name's Chris Helms, and I know Ted very well because he was my client. And they'd go days and days without seeing animals when they're during hunting season. So even in a 400 acre high fence ranch, it's not it's not just going to happen like people think it is. Now
right.
there's a big difference. There is places where it's like a pen hunt where there's like a 20 acre place, and they let out the animal and you can kill it. Like, I'm sure there's places like that. I've never personally been to one, but I've heard that there is those kinds of things here. But I'm not interested in that, and I think most regular hunters are not into that. So, it's a very small percentage. I think there's, I don't even want to say the kind of people that go hunt there, but, I'm sure there's people that do that, So, and that's it. That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do, I guess. But, for me, I just enjoy it, man. It's really cool. there's axis deer and there's all these different exotic type games and actually some of these places, like a black buck and axis, there is wild free-ranging axis deer that have been brought here, obviously, and have bred and multiplied. And in the hill country, there's actually a lot of axis deer. There's black buck. There's even pretty good populations of elk that are free-ranging, which is a lot of people don't know that. And so yeah, there's a lot of hunting opportunity. And then obviously wild hogs are another big thing, that people hear about. And that's probably one of the coolest hunts that you could come on here in Texas, is because it doesn't cost a lot of money to come hunt them, and they're all over the place. And so I do a lot of hog. Actually, that's one thing I'm kind of ramping up right now, is I've got the feeders running pretty good out on our lease. I'm getting a lot of I'm obviously trying to scout for the deer. It's velvet season getting started, but in the summertime, it's like, why not? There's no season on them. You might as well. It really helps out the ranchers and the farmers on their hay fields and their agriculture fields. You try to lessen the damage, because they multiply really quick. So I do. It's been a lot of fun to hunt those and actually have a few guys come out and I got a few guys here and there to come out and do some hunting as well. So it's a lot of fun, man. But Texas is so diverse. There's so much, different kind of hunting. There's so much different opportunity. I would definitely recommend anybody who has any kind of, who doesn't understand what hunting in Texas is like, to come out here and check it out and try it. And, you'll see what it's like. It's not a walk in the park like people think. It's not like deer just come to the feeder and it's the end game, Yeah, I'm sure there's some places like that where it does, those deer get patterned or those animals get patterned, but for the most part, it's not really like that. So
yeah, I'm sure those type of places, those are going to occur just about anywhere. That's not something that I feel like is exclusive to Texas. It's going to be something. I feel like there's places even around here, definitely around here in Kentucky, where you're going to have you're going to have overpopulation in certain areas of deer where it's just going to be free picking almost. And then other areas, you're not going to see anything. You're not going to see anything for a while. So it's just one of those things,
And one of the things that isn't talked about a lot too with Texas is a lot of those exotic game that have come from India and come from Africa and come from some of these other foreign countries. We've really the effort we put into conservation has been huge. Some of these animals have been close to extinction, and we brought them here because we have they're able to live in this weather here, and they really thrive in the weather we have here. And we've really helped save like scimitar horned oryx and the axis deer and some of these other animals that were not thriving very well in some of the places they're from, have come here and really thrived. So there's a lot of conservation effort going into the hunting here as well, and I really like to see that as well.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned hogs before. It's not something that we have a whole lot of here in Kentucky. Now, we do have quite a bit, especially on the western side of Kentucky. There's a lot of agriculture, and it's a lot flatter out there because that's when you get close to the Mississippi River and everything. But where I live on the eastern side, it's right on the edge of the Appalachian Mountains here. Hogs, it's not really an issue out there. So what are some things that you consider for when you're hog hunting, as far as, tactics, techniques, how to hunt hogs?
Yeah. And one of the cool things about hog hunting is there's so many different ways to do it here in Texas. So yeah, there's definitely quite a rundown of things you can do. So there's a few different ways to hunt them. And the way I personally hunt them on my lease is we bow hunt for them. So you can either, sit in the ground blind or sit in the stand, or you can spot and stalk. And personally, what I like to do is I like to, just to give you the best opportunity to get them standing still, is to run a feeder, a corn feeder, and then you put on some different attractants, some sugar-based type attractants, some long-range attractants to help them come in. And then you kind of watch your trail cameras and you kind of keep an eye on them, and you start to see when they start to, hit those feeders during daylight period. And that's when you say, all right, time to put some time in the stand or the ground. I do a lot of ground blind hunting actually. And so you'll put a lot of time in the ground blind, and those wild pigs will, they're hungry, man. They're out there wild and they're looking for food, and they come in and you put a good arrow in them, and then you've got some really fresh, you got some really fresh pork, man, and it's so good. But a couple of the other ways that I've hunted them as well is another thing that's pretty popular here is hunting them with dogs, actually, which is one of the oldest ways and methods of hunting animals is with dogs. A lot of people don't know that. I know it gets a lot of guff because people don't understand hunting with dogs, but those dogs are literally raised and trained to hunt. They love it. I mean, it's their livelihood. It's what they love to do. And I've seen some of these dogs that are so well trained that they, you know, 1 second they're kissing your face, the next second they got their jaws around the ears of a hog and they're holding it down, pinning it down, you know. And it's really cool. So what we'll do is we'll go out at night, just at dusk, and we'll start to we'll let those dogs run around, and those dogs will pick up a scent trail or you know, whatever, and they'll get on those hogs, and then they'll find the hogs, and they'll basically they'll get on that hog, they'll bay it up, and you'll have a catch dog which will run in and they'll grab the ear of that hog and hold on to it, and then the rest of those dogs, like 3 or 4 other dogs, will stay around that hog and circle it, and that hog will be tired out and he'll just stay right there. And that's when you come in, you run in off of a side by side or a 4x4 or something like that, or even just, you know, running through the woods with them, and you'll have a knife. You'll come in and you'll put a nice lethal, you know, stab into that hog's heart, and it's quick. It's a quick kill. You know, they bleed out real quick, and there's some danger involved there. It's a rush, but I've done it, and it's a lot of fun, man. There's a lot to it, and then, you know, it's a quick, ethical way to kill an animal as well. So that's another way. That's another method, and then a couple other methods I've done as well is we'll do. So we'll go out at night and we'll use, which is one of the things here in Texas that's different than a lot of states, is you can do a lot of night hunting with different animals. So we'll go out with thermal imaging scopes and binoculars, and we'll go out and find those hogs out in the fields, out digging up, rooting up, you know, farmers' hay fields and different things like that. And so we'll get out there, we'll find them, we'll spot them from long range, we'll get the wind in our favor, and then we'll stalk in on them, and with either shotguns, or you can actually shoot them, you know, with a gun from that range as well if you want. But what I like to do is we go in with shotguns with double-aught buckshot, and we'll get about 30 yards away from them, and we'll spotlight them, and then we'll shoot them, because we'll make it for a nice lethal close-up shot. And that's a rush as well. That's a lot of fun. But man, those are a few of the different methods. I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, you can just, you know, spot and stalk them. You know, whatever you want to do, really. Any other methods that you would hunt any other animal, it really can be done with hogs. But their nose is really good. Their eyesight isn't very good, but their nose is really good. So you always have to have the wind in your favor. That's the biggest thing.
Sounds like it's very similar to how you would hunt whitetails, as far as, you know, paying attention to that wind and making sure that you know, have that in your face and that kind of thing. Yeah,
absolutely. One thing about a hog, though, is, you know, a lot of times you'll find them out, you know, rooting around in a field, and they'll have their nose on the ground. So, you know, that's one thing. I mean, if you obviously want to get that wind right, or they're going to pick you off, but or they're going to start to smell you. You know what's going. They're going to figure out something's going on. Something's not right here. But I actually about 3 weeks ago I killed a hog. We were coming in from turkey hunting actually, and I just happened to have my bow, you know, just in the back seat of the truck, and Robert and I were driving out of the lease, and he was coming across the field there. He was in between some cows that were out there in the field. And I was like, oh, there's a hog out there. I was like, stop, you know, and I got out really quick and grabbed my bow and started to kind of put a stalk on him through these cows. And he had his nose down the whole time and was walking. He actually crossed the fence, went through a fence, walked into this other hay field, and got to the other side. And I crossed that fence, and he was just had his nose in the ground, man. I had the wind in my favor. Everything was in the right, you know, everything was going good. And I got up to him about 40 yards away, and I didn't have a rangefinder or anything like that. I didn't happen to grab a rangefinder, but I knew I was about 40 yards away, and I pulled back and I put an arrow through him, and he dropped 10 yards away, and man, that was awesome. It's fun, you know. It's fun. You're on a turkey hunt, you know, and I didn't have any luck that night turkey hunting, but you know, you're on your way out of the lease, and all of a sudden it turns into a hog hunt. You know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
And now we got fresh back straps.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you taste?
I actually haven't eaten them yet. He's in my freezer, but they're good. He was a perfect size eater, and they're all good eaters. So that's one of the things too. You'll hear people say, "Well, aren't those things nasty or whatever?" And most of the time, I mean, if you got like a 400 or 500 pound boar hog that's never been cut, I mean, I'm sure that those probably might have some rank taste to them just from the testosterone running through them. But every hog that I've killed and ate, whether it was a boar hog or whatever, they've tasted excellent, man. They've been so good. And my dad has come and hunt here, and my uncle's come and hunt with me, and I went back home and my dad smoked them, and we cooked them all kinds of different ways, and it's excellent. I would say it's one of my favorite meats, honestly, is wild hog. It's really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, you definitely got me convinced. I'm going to have to try it sometime.
Man, it's a lot of fun, especially if you haven't been to Texas. You got to come, check out the culture, check out the people, lot to see, and then turn it into a hunt as well.
Yeah, whenever I think of Texas, I think of hog hunting. So like hog hunting and whitetail, I feel like those are the things to do in Texas.
Yep, absolutely. Well, another thing too that I would definitely recommend if you get an opportunity someday is to do like an axis hunt. Axis deer is probably the top venison meat that I've ever eaten. It's so tender, it's so juicy. It's like eating like a 2-year-old doe. It's so good. Like it's so fresh and so good and tender. There's nothing like it. So.
I've heard they are, and I've heard a lot of it's because because they're so fast and they're so athletic that their meat, their muscles is so lean, and it keeps it tender, it keeps it soft. I've heard that it is, and obviously I've never tried it before, but I can definitely imagine how that would taste.
Oh yeah, man, it's really good. I've actually never killed one myself. I missed one time, but I've had a couple different friends give me some of their meat, and I was like, oh man, I got to start hunting these things more. I gotta find a place that has these where I can go hunt them a little bit. That'd be kind of fun.
That's awesome. So I'm gonna switch gears on you a little bit. So we talked a little bit about Activate the Hunt and your podcast and your show that you have going on there. So what inspired you to start Activate the Hunt?
Yeah, man, that's a really good question. And so what inspired me to start Activate the Hunt? So about 3 years ago now, actually, is when I actually started it. I've, like you kind of mentioned, I ramped it up over the last couple months. Yeah. But I originally started it about 3 years ago. And one of the biggest things that really kind of got me wanting to start something like that, so I've had internet and website businesses for a long time that were hunting related, and I've worked with a lot of hunting clients. And so I ended up selling my website, and I kind of took a step back from the hunting industry for a couple of years, and this was right around the same time I got married, had my first child. And I had taken a step back, and I was kind of like, kind of going through a change in my life where I was like, I don't want this just to be about me anymore. I want this to be about other people and getting people involved and leaving some kind of legacy, which is, my passion of hunting. So I started doing some research, and I started hearing some information about how hunting is in decline and there's less hunters now and this and that. And I really started to do some hardcore research on it. And I found out that back in the 2000s that we were right around, I think, 17 or 18 million hunters. And today, 2019, we're right around 11.5 million hunters. So we've dramatically dropped in hunting participation, which has also somewhat dropped the license sales, which is a direct correlation to our conservation efforts here in the United States. So, with that in mind, I was like, there's got to be a way to start to, get people, involved in hunting who maybe don't know a lot about it, but have heard about it. Maybe don't have a way to start or a place, to learn and start from. So that's kind of where, Activate the Hunt came from. I was like, this will be their opportunity to activate the hunt and start to learn more about what hunting is about, and not just the kill. The whole experience of the hunt, from start to finish. So that's really what the podcast, that's what, really the organization as a whole is based off of, is getting new hunters involved. But me, even as an experienced hunter, somebody who's hunted for 20 years, I learn a lot just by being part of it myself. I'm learning new things and learning old things too that I've kind of forgot about. So it's been really cool to, to focus more time and attention to that over the last few months and kind of do more of the podcasting. And it's cool because I have all these relationships built up with people in the hunting industry for all these years that I've worked with. And now I can directly go to them and tap into their information to help people. I was like, this is a way I can tap into my relationships, to interview different hunters out there who are at the top of their game, so I can bring this information to, to other people out there who maybe don't have that information at their fingertips. So that's kind of been the start of it, man. And it's just the start really now, but I see some exciting times ahead and really just focusing on the effort of getting new people involved in hunting.
Yeah, that's something I've definitely admired from listening to your show is you kind of take it almost like it's like an educational course almost. I almost feel like I'm attending class whenever I listen because you have some guests on there that are really educated and they have the experience and the different types of, they have all kinds of tips and that kind of thing that can help, even not necessarily just new hunters, but also people who've been at it for a while who may be, stuck in a rut, or they just may want to, learn how to do something different. And that's something that I've really admired from listening to your show and, going through, some of the past episodes and that kind of thing. And it's been I know for me at least, it's been a great benefit because, I'm getting kind of back into hunting within the past, I'd say probably 4 or 5 years. A good buddy of mine, he kind of reintroduced me back into hunting after I had been out of it since I was, a teenager. So, going through and listening to some of the guests that you've had, it's been very helpful because it's, like I said, it's almost like I'm attending class almost. Got to break out the notepad or something.
Yeah. It's jam packed with a lot of information, and I really like that too. It's actually kind of brought me back, like kind of looking at things from a different perspective because sometimes we take it for granted. Like for me personally, I grew up hunting, really from a young age. My dad, was bringing me out to the deer stand from the time I was 3 years old. And I was, some of my earliest memories are hanging out in hunting camp, my family hunting camp in northern Minnesota during deer season, deer rifle season, and just sitting around the campfire, sitting around the, the deer pole, just telling, hearing stories really from my uncles and my aunts and my dad. And man, I hang on to that a lot. I think back to that a lot. And, but growing up in a hunting family, we take it for granted, that we had it so close to us because a lot of people, in today's world didn't grow up in a hunting family necessarily. They didn't really have a dad maybe or an uncle that taught them how to hunt. And that's really I think one of the best, that's a great method to learn how to hunt. But for those people that haven't been able to learn to hunt that way, you forget about that. So it's kind of brought me back to, to the beginning and trying to remember how I got started and how I can help other people get started through my experiences and through just the experiences, obviously, of the guests and the others that I interview and talk to and different things like that. So, that's really the basis on it. But yeah, man, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot myself because I'm I'm not like some great hunter or something like that. I've killed a few animals here and there, but really, I'm just getting started. Sometimes I look back and think, I'm just getting started on my own hunting journey. I've been hunting for a long time, but I'm really kind of hitting that point where I'm really starting to learn and grow and kind of hone my skills in.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of the idea of that we're always students. I feel like if I ever get to a point with any part of my life, I mean, not just hunting, but just any part of my life, if I'm at a point to where I feel like I know everything and, I'm an expert and I've got it all figured out, then I know one thing's coming is that I'm going to be humbled very quickly. And
that's for sure.
So I try to avoid those, type of scenarios. And, I just try to keep in mind that, no matter what it is, no matter what topic it is, whether it's hunting or, family or, being a husband, whatever the topic is, I've always got to be a student of myself, what I know, and then those around me.
No, I'm right there with you, man. I've been humbled a lot.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I've been humbled a lot in my life, my personal life, and in hunting. So, every time you're humbled, you kind of look back and you remember, I'm not as good as I think I am.
Right.
I've got a lot to learn, and it's always going to be that way. And the older you get, the more mature you get. The more you realize, my pride needs to lower, and I need to stay humble.
Right.
And it just seems like things work a lot better in life when that happens.
Another thing I liked about your show is the fact that you are, about what you're doing, is that you're willing to introduce new hunters. You recently posted an episode from, I guess it was a couple years ago, wasn't it, when you took Ryan Mickler out? And you recently posted that episode, and I thought it was really neat that you were willing to take, Ryan out, let him get, some experience hunting. Ryan Mickler is he's the owner, the operator, podcast host, all the above of the Order of Man podcast, and he's got a really good one over there. So Collin actually took Ryan out on a hunt. So you want to kind of touch on that? So introducing, hunters to hunting, and what made it motivate you to do that?
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, that was talk about a great time, man, and just I just happened to find Ryan right around. I think I hadn't even started Activate the Hunt yet when I first met him. I just randomly found him through somebody tagged me in something he posted on Facebook or something like that, and I ended up finding his group, his Order of Man Facebook group, and from there I kind of started to see his posts and different things like that, and I was like, man, this guy's a good dude. He's really doing something special where he's trying to help, man. And I was in a point in my life where I needed some help as a man, so just reading his content and kind of checking out what he was doing was like starting to help me a lot. And so I ended up reaching out to Ryan, and I was like, hey, man, like, I've worked in the hunting industry. I've done a lot of cool stuff marketing wise and different things. I was like, I'd love to, if there's any way I can help you or any way that we can work together, or maybe, we might cross paths at some point, it'd be really cool, because, him being a man and working in that space to try to help other men is really similar to trying to help people with hunting and in their journey as a hunter. So, he ended up wanting to go to SHOT Show. He put post up there on Facebook. I was like, hey, man, I'm going to SHOT Show. You want to come with? He was like, yeah, let's do it. So we ended up getting a hotel room together and going to SHOT Show and hanging out for 2 or 3 days in Vegas. And man, we just had a good time. We just really hit it off. We're very similar in a lot of ways and different in a lot of ways too, but it was really cool. And we hit it off and just become really good friends. And from there, as his organization has grown, we've kind of went back and forth, and I try to offer up my advice where I can. And he also, we went on that hunt. I was like, man, you got to get on a hunt. He was starting to get into bow hunting a little bit.
Yeah. And
he ended up picking up a bow, and we kind of went back and forth. He was asking, what kind of equipment do I need? What do I need? This and that. So we just went back and forth for about 5 or 6 months. I was trying to give him some tips and get him prepared for the hunt. And through that process, I just really realized how much fun it was to help somebody kind of on that journey, somebody to, take them out on their first hunt. And so he ended up coming here to Texas, and a good friend of mine who runs an outfitting service here in Texas, Clay Herzog, he runs an outfit called Prone Outfitters. He graciously donated that hunt to both of us, and he said, "Why don't you guys come out? I'd like to take a new hunter as well, and have him come out and hunt on my leases and show him what it's all about, And this is real hunting, by the way. This wasn't like a high fence place or anything like that.
Right.
This was like a low fence, ranch. These were ranches that Clay runs. He hunts on these nice private ranches, but so we went out. We went out to north. It was kind of almost the panhandle of Texas. And we went out there for a week. It was about 4 days, and man, we just had a great time. And Ryan ended up, I kind of walked him through the process and helped him a bunch. Just brought back so many many memories of my dad teaching me how to hunt and my uncles teaching me how to hunt out there, and I just really fell in love with that experience. And it doesn't usually happen that way, but Ryan ended up killing a deer. Then I killed a deer with a gun. And then the next day, Brian ended up killing one with his bow, and then I killed one with my bow. So we both ended up taking home a bunch of meat, and just a great experience, a great time. And man, just from there, we really talked about it on that hunt. Like, he's like, man, you should really get something going, like what I'm doing with Order of Man for, with your activate, because I had just kind of started activating hunt at that time. And I was just kind of getting it off the ground. And he's like, you really got to focus on this. I think this is something that could be really cool and it will really help a lot of people. Because I know there's a lot of guys like me who want to get into hunting, but don't really have, there's a lot of information out there, but don't really have one central place that they can go and other than social media, which your relationships on social media are a little bit different. It's not real, it's real, but it's not real.
The information is going to be different for sure.
Yeah, so that's really kind of what sparked kind of where I am now with Activate the Hunt. I started something called the digital campfire, and that's kind of like the community side of it, where we're learning and growing and inspiring each other and helping each other on our journey as hunters. And I just launched that actually a week ago, and we've got a bunch of guys who signed up, and it's a paid for. You have to pay for your membership on a monthly basis to be part of that, but there's a bunch of cool perks that you get as part of it. And really the biggest perk is the community effort. Guys who are all in this together, who are all willing to learn and help each other on a personal level. And it's been really awesome. We've been doing we do a live video call every week on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. And so we've done 2 calls so far. And those calls have been like just so awesome. We all get on a live video call together. We talk about different hunting topics and we help each other out. And just that camaraderie. It's really like sitting around a campfire, like telling stories and talking about hunting together. And it's been a lot of fun, man. And I'm excited to see where that goes. I'm excited to see how many people we can reach with that and help and get them on their journey, whether they're a new hunter or they've been hunting for a little while and want to learn more. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really cool way of, bringing that community, and, you can bring people from all over the country, all over the globe, and then y'all can meet together one time and have that, that camaraderie around a campfire that you would normally have like a hunt camp, but you can do it, from the comfort of your own home and still be able to connect with these people from all over the place.
Exactly, and it's on a real personal level too. Yeah. That's what makes it even better. And I think people don't realize, like, we're so ingrained on Instagram and Facebook, and we think that those relationships are real. And they like my photo, and so follows me, and it's like, come on, man. Yeah. Like, I'm a social media marketing guy. Like, I get this. I get the psychology of it. It's really not like that. You need to get outside that box, and you really need to connect with guys, because I'm building relationships with these guys in the digital campfire now, and actually some of them are coming to hunt with me now, and we're lining up hunts to go hunting together, and we're lining up get-togethers to really meet each other in real life. Where social media, you're just not going to have that. You're not going to have that same connection, and it's been really cool. And like I said, it's just getting started, so I'm excited to see where that goes, and I really just want to help people. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that should be good. Where can people find out more about the digital campfire?
Yeah, that's a good question. You can go to jointhecampfire.com, www.jointhecampfire.com, and you can see all the information there. We do a bunch of cool stuff. Like, we have a members network app where you can log in on your phone or from your desktop, where there's no algorithms, there's no censorship, anything like that. You can post up your photos. We talk about different topics in there. We we have a resources area where I post the calls, the weekly calls we do. I post those in there so you can rewatch them just in case you missed. There's all kinds of cool stuff in there. And then from there, we do our weekly calls, and we do some pretty big giveaways. I'm doing some pretty cool giveaways where I'm giving away a bow, I'm giving away a hog hunt, a bunch of other stuff. And those are going to be on a monthly basis. And then there's discounts from some of my partners in the industry that are giving away some different discounts on products and different things like that. And there's a bunch of cool benefits. So yeah, definitely, if you're somebody out there who's interested in being part of a real community and actually connecting with people on a real level, I would absolutely suggest that you check out jointhecampfire.com, digital campfire.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll be sure to put that link in the show notes for everyone, and they can go straight to the website from there.
Cool. I appreciate you even just bringing up that topic, man. I'm one of those guys who doesn't like to sit here and sell something. So so you could probably tell I'm pretty passionate about this part of Activate the Hunt. And, I don't think it's something I even have to sell. I think it's something once you get in there, like all the guys who are in it now, once they've gotten in there, they're like, this is cool. Nobody's doing anything like this. So that just makes me feel really good that I've actually started something that's different and it's reaching people in the right way. So I appreciate you even just mentioning that, Tyler.
Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, it's definitely my pleasure to, help you spread the news on the awesome things that you're doing, awesome projects that you're working on. It's definitely my pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah, man. I appreciate it so much.
Well, as we're winding down here, I always have one question. I have one question at the end of the show that I like to ask my guests, and I'm going to go ahead and give that to you right now. So, what does hunting mean to you?
Yeah, that's a really good question too, buddy. I really like that question a lot. Hunting to me, what it means to me is it's a relationship is what hunting is. It's a relationship with my creator, first of all, wild animals, wild places. It's relationships with the people I hunt with. It's a relationship with just time in the stand. It's stress relief. It's, to me, hunting is a relationship. It's a relationship that has so many different parts to it that really just help me and have so much value in my life in so many different ways. So just to kind of keep that short and sweet, it's a beautiful relationship.
Man, that's a great way of putting it, especially that you mentioned that relationship with God, relationship with the Creator, and just kind of resetting our priorities for with who we are, and just getting out there and just pushing that reset button, and then coming back and being able to be better fathers, better husbands, and be able to do the things that we do outside of the woods better because of our time in the woods.
Well, and here's another thing, man, is God put those animals here on the earth for us to consume and to provide for our family as well. And, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that He wanted us to enjoy them. He wanted us to care for animals, but He also wanted us to enjoy animals. And there's a reason why we were put on this earth to help manage those animals and keep them in check. And then we can use that for food and different things like that. I don't hunt just for the food, obviously. I hunt for the whole experience. And I definitely try to mention that every time I've been asked that. But, man, the relationship that hunting, that I have because of hunting, it goes so much further just in that kill. It goes into every different aspect. The food, the family, the camaraderie, the time with my creator. Just the wild places. Wild animals. There's just so much built into that relationship. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. That's a good answer. I appreciate that one. So,
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And so, where can they learn more about Activate the Hunt?
Yeah, probably the best place to connect with me for Activate the Hunt is on Instagram. Actually, I really like that platform. It's become really kind of my central hub for Activate the Hunt is Instagram.com/Activate the Hunt. And then from there, you can see my posts, and I would absolutely suggest that you hit me up with a message as well, because I really like to connect with people on a real level. And from there, I hope we get to know each other, and you see what I'm doing. Maybe check out my podcast. Obviously, if you go to my website, activatethehunt.com, is where you can find some more of my information and my content. But a lot of the content I'm putting out there is through Instagram. I also have some Facebook and different things like that. And then really the biggest thing I'm focused on is the digital campfire, connecting with people on a real level through that platform and through that organization. So,
well, that's awesome. I'll be sure to put those links in the show notes for people who want to connect that way. And man, awesome. I appreciate you taking the time tonight I know it's getting late, but I appreciate you taking the time to sit here and talk with me. And this was a really good conversation, I think.
No, man, I really appreciate it too, Tyler. It's been awesome to connect with you, like I said, on social media. And hopefully we can get together here in real life. And maybe you'll come on out here to Texas and we'll do some hunting. One of the things with the digital campfires, I'm actually hoping to put some group hunts together where I can try to get some really good group pricing on, maybe at a place here in Texas and do some hog hunting with some guys and some gals and get some people together. So that might be something we can connect on in the future as well. But I also want to say to you, I appreciate you kind of, up front, you sent me a cool shirt, man. And that really, like, that value that you gave me and just sending me something cool and saying, hey, and connecting with me, it really hit home with me. And I'm all about that kind of stuff. I'm all about, trying to help people out before they ever help me out. So I really appreciate that and just getting to know you. Look forward to getting to know you more.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I'm glad you like that shirt. That's actually one of our newest designs, our full curl tee. That was
I love that shirt.
Yeah, man. It turned out pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about it. Pretty stoked about that one. That was pretty sweet. And then, by the way, I've got your decal on the back of my car right now, the Activate the Hunt decal.
Awesome.
So
Heck yeah.
So that's awesome.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. But,
well, I wore that shirt today, so there you go.
There we go.
I'm not
Perfect.
wearing it right now. I went and worked out, so I didn't wear it when I went and worked out, but I wore that shirt today. So